So what comes to me is a number of things that I'm going to be talking about at the workshop. One of those things is the importance of community, is the importance of being willing to share and be seen and witnessed by others. Because what shame does is it turns us inside out. It's almost like it turns us rancid inside, and it's debilitating. And so often we take on the trauma and think that it's something awful about us and that's why it happened. And that's protective. We do that because we can't stand feeling powerless as human beings. So you'll hear even adult rape victims talk about, well, I shouldn't have been dressed like that, or I shouldn't have been walking down that street. And thinking, well, if I can figure out why it happened, then I could prevent it from happening again. And the truth is, trauma isn't who we are. It's what's happened to us, and our job, no matter what the feelings that come up and arise are to love into it, into that aspect of us that was so hurt. The other thing is I have learned so powerfully that our freedom is in our vulnerability, our ability to be vulnerable in safe places and with safe people who can be our witnesses and see us. And I can't even tell you how incredibly freeing that is. And it took me so many years to learn that. Also, it's critical to practice radical self-love. And I'm going to be talking a lot more about that workshop and what that at the workshop and what that can look like. And at the end of the book, they had me write a afterward chapter on my journey with COVID, which was pretty significant, and I nearly died. But when I came home, I was still very ill. I was still on an oxygen in a wheelchair, told I was likely to never get off the oxygen. And what it brought up was the vulnerability that I felt every day as a kid. I dealt with the major traumas in therapy and in body work and so many other ways, but there's always a little residue in our energy body. And I found an incredible, or I was led to through a coach I have, to an incredible energy worker who does distant work and who helped me remove that residue and that vulnerability. And the other piece around trauma is we can always make the choice where to place our attention. And I learned that many years ago, that we can choose whether to just get through something and beat ourselves up and feel like a victim and feel like these awful things just keep happening to me. And of course, that does it's like a wrecking ball to our nervous system. Or we can choose where to place our attention and choose how to grow through the event. And that's what I did through my journey with COVID. And because of that, I am so grateful that I had COVID and nearly died, believe it or not, because I learned so much. And I was able to clear up so much residue that I didn't even know continued to need healing. So healing from trauma, it can often come in waves, and it's really important if we get to the point where something comes back at another level, to not beat ourselves up and say, well, I already dealt with that, but to say, oh, here it comes again for another deeper level of healing. And I'll be talking more about that.